Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saveryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadidamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We'll chant Srimad Bhagavad Gita verses 20, chapter 2, verses 20 to 24. Chapter 2, verses 20 to 24.
न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणः न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे वेदा विनाशिनं नित्यं य एनमजमव्ययं कथं स पुरुषः पार्थ कं घातयति हन्तिकम् वासांसि जीर्णानि यथा विहाय नवानि गृह्णाति नरोपराणि तथा शरीराणि विहाय जीर्णानि अन्यानि संयाति नवानि देहि नैनं छिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि नैनं दहति पावकः न चैनं क्लेदयन्त्यापः न शोषयति मारुतः अच्छेद्योऽयमदाह्योऽयम् अक्लेद्यो शोष्य एव च नित्यः सर्वगतस्ताणुः अचलोऽयं सनातनः.
Last week we had completed up to shloka number 19 of this chapter, where he said, Ya enam veti hantaram yaschainam manyate hatam ubau tauna vijanitaha nayam hantina hanyate. He who regards this meaning Atma, the pure consciousness, the self, as slayer, as a doer, and he who thinks this is slain, this is being killed, enjoyer, both of them are ignorant. Both of them do not know what they are talking about. This neither slays nor is slain. So, in this portion, starting from verse number 11, Sri Krishna has been talking about the pure consciousness, our real self. Basically, he is giving introduction to ourselves, to us. So he says, you, the Atma, the pure consciousness, is Nitya. It is eternal. It is Satya. It is independent. And it is Sarvagata. It is everywhere, all pervading. So, and then he said, it is Aprameya. Aprameya means it is something that cannot be intellectually conceived. It is that which makes you conceive, not what you can conceive. It is beyond intellect. And then he is talking about Atma as a non-doer and a non-enjoyer. Atma doesn't do anything. It is not something that does any action. It is that which enlivens the body to perceive and act. And by itself, it doesn't do any action. Meaning, you are not the one who does anything. You, the Atma, the real self, doesn't do anything. You are a non-doer. And being a non-doer, you're also not an enjoyer. Now, this misconception in us is that we are the doer and we are the ones who are experiencing also. So we have this pap and punya, is what we believe. So you say, I've done something wrong, I'm a papi, I've done a lot of good things, so I'm a, I've done a lot of punyatma, I am. So we have all these identifications with this wrong understandings and then say, I am a papi, I am a punyatma, etc. So here Sri Krishna says, you are neither a papi nor a punyatma. You are beyond, any vice or virtue. You're beyond pap and punya. You're beyond doership and enjoyership. And since you are beyond doership and enjoyership, there's no karma for you. There's no karma for Atma. The moment you consider yourself to be a doer, then automatically you have the enjoyership coming with it, which means you will have karma. All kinds of karmas you will have. So therefore, it says, this neither slays nor is slain. You must understand that you are the Atma, that which enlivens, not the doer. Therefore, you are not the enjoyer. And then he continues further, verse number 20. All these are important shlokas. 20 is also very, very important shloka.
न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणः न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे.
Now in this shloka, you will see that there's a change in the meter. Usually we chant in a different meter. Now there's a slight change in the meter here, which indicates that it is a very important shloka. Now, what he's saying here is, this again means Atma. This is not born, nor does it die. He says it is Ajaha. Aja means unborn, that which is not born. So he's giving few more pointers about Atma for us to reflect. It is neither born nor does it die. There is no mrityu for Atman. There is no birth, there is no death. There is no birth and death for you. So then he says, nor having been, will it ever again cease to be in future? You may get a doubt. What about, in future, there is no question of it going into non-existence. It is Satyam. It always exists. This is not born, nor does it die, nor having been, will ever cease to be. So what is born then? The subtle body and the gross body that is born, that manifests. Not the Atma, not the consciousness. So you are not born when the body is born. You do not die when the body dies. The Atma, which is Satyam, always exists. And then he says, this is unborn, eternal, changeless, ancient. He basically wants to emphasize on this changeless aspect here. Sashvatam. Sashvatam means changeless, unborn, and then eternal, Nityam, and it is Sashvatam, changeless. You do not undergo any modifications, is basically what he wants to say. Because as this individual, we go through modifications, birth, growth, disease, decay, death. We go through all these modifications. So he says, we meaning the body-mind intellect complex that goes through these changes, these modifications. So he says, you, the Atma, doesn't go through any of these modifications. It has got no birth, no death, growth, disease, decay, nothing. It is Puranaha, ancient. Puranaha means the very first. Before everything, it was. And during everything, it is. After everything, it will continue to be. He wants to say that. Therefore, he says Puranaha. Before even all this manifestation came into existence, you, the Atma, existed. See, the change in perception, he wants to give it to us. And it has to come from within. Initially, now he is explaining it. But when we reflect over it, we will get that change in perception, which I was mentioning in my previous class. That is very important. Today we think we are this body mind intellect complex, born in this world, living in this world. He wants to say you were existing even before all this came into existence. In fact, all this exists in you. This is the complete change in the way you look at yourself. So, therefore, he says this is unborn, eternal, changeless, ancient. Ajaha, Nityaha, Sashvataha, Puranaha. Meaning it is unborn, eternal, changeless, ancient. It is not killed when the body is killed. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Hanyate is translated as killed here. It also means tormented. It also means affected. So what he's trying to say is the Atma, the pure consciousness, you are not affected and the body is affected. You are not tormented when the body is tormented. Today what is happening is due to our identification with the body, we believe ourselves to be this body, then whatever happens to the body happens to us. You understand? So with this knowledge, we separate ourselves from the body. Wrongly, we have continued with this understanding, wrong understanding, and identified with the body and thinking ourselves to be this limited individual. Now with this knowledge, we have to separate. That's all. That's all we need to do. And that separation will happen automatically when you do the proper reflection and continued reflection. So therefore he says, these are all pointers, these are not definitions. The Atma cannot be defined, because what will you define Atma with? Your intellect. How can you define intellect? Using intellect, the Atma. You cannot, because Atma is subtlest. It is even subtler than the vasanas, the causal body. From the causal body, the subtle body comes. Intellect belongs to the subtle body. So in fact, strictly speaking, even intellect cannot understand and define vasanas. At the maximum, it can say the inclination, innate nature, etc. But it is not the perfect definition of vasanas. So, whereas Atma is even subtler than vasanas, it's beyond the causal body also. So, intellect cannot define. These are not definitions, but these are pointers. I explained to you, I don't know whether in this class or in my Vedanta treatise class, in this traditional method of imparting the knowledge, Shabda Pramanam, what they call as Agama tradition, Agami, what they do is they teach you what is Atma, what is Anatma, and then they make you reflect and be all the time in that Atma reflection. By that you slowly start negating the Anatma. When the Anatma is negated, what remains is, thus you get established in the higher. So therefore he says, this is not born when the body is born. So all of us, when we understand this, there is no question of birthday or death day or anything. It is all only for the manifested expression, not for me. And since it is come into existence, we think it will die. But he says it has never come into existence. There is no death. It will always be. It is Nitya. You are Nitya. And you are above all modifications. So when you say, I am stressed, when you say, I am stressed, what should strike you? This stress is because of my identification with my mind. With my mind. Mind can go through modifications, will go through modifications. Like body will go through modifications, mind will go through modifications. All this will happen at that level. But it should not happen to you. So when you say, I am stressed, what is happening is, you have now nicely tied yourself with the mind. So when the mind is stressed, you are saying, I am stressed. This is the problem. So this wrong understanding will go. So you can never be under stress if you Stop identifying with this body, mind, intellect complex. Let it go through whatever it will go through, according to the karma it will go through. The joy, sorrow, pain, pleasure, honor, dishonor, censure, praise, all this you will have to go through. But when the body, mind, intellect complex go through, you don't have to go through all that. You don't have to suffer. It is not for you. You do not go through any modifications. It's foolish to say that I am going through modifications. That's what he wants to say. He is giving another pointer here. That is the main pointer that he wants to give. What is that? Nirvikaraha. Atma is nirvikaraha. It is not subjected to any change. So when you say, I am stressed, how is it possible that something that cannot be subjected to any stress is stressed? So obviously it is not Atma that is stressed. Due to your stupidity, foolishness, due to our foolishness, we identify with the body, mind, intellect complex, and then we go through stress, strain, etc. This is what he wants to say. So he is trying to educate us through Arjuna the infinite nature of the Atma, our true self. Therefore, it is beyond all birth, growth, disease, decay, and death. So what will happen is, the more and more you understand this, even when the body had to go through certain disease, you will be objectively going through that. The affectation it gives you today will not be the same when you go through the disease objective with this understanding. So that's the main thing. It is not having the same effect upon you as it used to have before. When you completely digest this knowledge, it stops affecting you at all, completely. Till such time, to whatever extent you have understood it, to that extent, it will not affect you. So there's a very interesting story Swami Ramtita gives. There was a rich man who used to travel in his Rolls Royce all the time, and his Rolls Royce met with an accident. And it was completely finished. He could not repair it again. So, and nobody knew about it. He was sitting in the car. He did not get even single injury, not even a small bruise. So he came back and then he called all his friends and said, I'm going to throw a party this weekend. Please, all of you come. Everybody came. They were enjoying the party. Nobody asked what is the occasion. One fellow asked, why are you throwing this party today? What is the occasion? He said, see, I was in the car and the car met with an accident. The car is completely finished. I have to buy a new car now. Cannot be repaired also. So that is it. I thought I'll throw a party. Said, what? The car is completely gone and you're throwing a party? He said, you don't understand. I was sitting in the car and nothing happened to me. Isn't this an occasion to celebrate? So once we understand this, all these shlokas, immediate effect would be, affectations will not be that much as it used to be before. And the permanent effect afterwards, when the knowledge is completely digested, is it will not affect you at all. Not even in small dosage. This is what all these shlokas are teaching us here. So it is nirvikalpa. You are nirvikalpa. See, when we do this, these shlokas, we need to understand, I am nirvikalpa. I don't go through change. I don't get affected. So this is what this shloka is saying. Ajaha, nityaha, shashvataha, puranaha. These are all various arcs he's giving. Like in maths, I mentioned to you before. They give you point A, point B, the distance between the two, and then they give distance between point A and C, the distance between B and C. Now you draw line AB, then you take the compass, measure the distance between A and C, draw the arc. Similarly, B and C you measure and draw the arc. The meeting point is C, and then you complete the triangle. So like that, various pointers are given to keep your thoughts to float high on the Atma all the time, so that you don't keep on thinking about the world, the body, mind, intellect, and the vasanas pertaining to that level slowly drops away. And your identification with Atma gets more and more established. And then slowly the law comes to effect, which is as you think, so shall you become. As you keep thinking about Atma, you become the Atma. Next shloka. I think somebody's mic is on. Unless you're asking a question, please put yourself in mute. Are you asking any question? Please put yourself in mute, sir. Thank you. We'll chant shloka number 21.
Veda vinashinam nityam yaenamajamavyayam katam sapurushah partha kam ghatayati hantikam.
Veda. Veda means know, to know. He says, Veda avinashinam nityam. Yaha. Yaha means whoever, one who. It doesn't matter who. It could be you, me, anybody else. Immaterial of what caste, creed, color, community, sex we belong to. Whosoever. Yaha. Understands, knows what? That his or her original nature is indestructible. He who knows this oneself to be indestructible, beyond destruction, death, and to be eternal with reference to time, always existing, and unborn, never came into birth, when the body came into birth, and immutable, changeless. All these he mentioned in the previous shloka. What happens when you understand what was explained till now? He's giving that here. He says, how can that man, O Partha, O Arjuna, another name of Arjuna is Partha. So he says, how can that man, O Partha, slay anyone or cause anyone to be slain? How can that person do any action directly or indirectly? In the sense, how can that person have doership thereafter? How can that person have any motive to action thereafter? See, once you understand that you are neither the doer nor the enjoyer, and you are the Atma which is Paripurna, there is no question of motive in us thereafter. Whosoever understands this, there will be no motive to do any action. Motive comes, we have discussed this before, as long as you have wrong understanding about yourself, due to the ignorance of your true self, when you wrongly understand that you are limited, that this wrong understanding that you are limited brings about an imaginary void in you, which makes your thoughts run towards the world. And when the thoughts run towards the world, it becomes desire. You have a motive. You want to achieve something. You want to either do directly or will make others do, so through them you want to achieve. So the person who understands or knows oneself, that's what he said. Veda avinashinam nityam ya enam ajam avyayam katam sa purusha partha kam gatayati antikam. How can that man, O Partha, slay anyone or cause anyone to be slain? Neither directly nor indirectly he will do any action. For what he will do any action? This is what I was explaining to you. When you have reached the cliff, will you take another step? You won't, because you know that you have reached the cliff. So automatically you will stop taking another step. Similarly, when you know that you are paripurna, you're complete, you lack nothing, you are always existing, There's nothing in this world can cause your destruction. And when there is no insecurity, because you've stopped thereafter identifying with the ego, there's no insecurity. And when you have no insecurity, how can you have any motive? So what will Vedanta do is take this knowledge. Vedanta means this knowledge. What will this do? It will take away the motive out of you. When the ego is destroyed, when the false personality is destroyed, thereafter there cannot be any motive. Impossible. You will not do any action to achieve anything. What is there to be achieved? When you are already that. You understand? So now, general question that comes usually in this context is, then what will it mean? Will it mean that the person will stop acting? No. In fact, thereafter that person will be acting fully. He's not going to act to impress anybody or to get anything. Just his or her nature will manifest fully with no motive whatsoever. Like anything in nature. Swami Ramtita beautifully explains this. Why do you fellows have to have motives? He says. You fellows have motive for everything. Cow doesn't have any motive when it gives milk. Tree doesn't have any motive when it gives oxygen or fruits or vegetables. You understand? When the rose doesn't have any motive when it gives out fragrance. Nightingale has no motive when it sings. Peacock has no motive when it dances. So why only human beings should have a motive? That's what Swami Ramtita's question is. You have this motive because of wrong understanding about yourself. So here he's saying that person will not have any motive because the doership is gone. He will not be a doer. See, this is wrongly understood as people, he will stop acting. No. The doership hata diya. When the doership is removed, in fact, the person will perform very well. See, a person who is generally a chatterbox, going on talking all the time, put that fellow on a podium, he fumbles. He goes. But because he becomes self-conscious, there is more ego, I, therefore less productive. The moment he loses that self-consciousness, he freely talks, freely expresses. This is what happens when you begin to understand about yourself. Today, your productivity is actually less. It is actually less. The moment you understand this, then you will have tremendous productivity. So, this is why we say, when you identify with the Atma, infinite, when you identify with any higher goal, lots of energy. So, when you say, I lack energy, which means all the time you are thinking about yourself, or you are just having a very small circle within which you are functioning. You got to broaden your thinking. Yourself has to expand. So, with the heat of knowledge, Sri Krishna is expanding the self, broadening our view about ourselves. So, therefore, he says, he who knows this. Knows meaning knows. It's not intellectually knowing. I understood this shloka. Now I know I'm indestructible. If you say, I know I'm indestructible, there should be zero fear in you. You should be fearless. I don't know what will happen in future. Whether my children will properly survive, my grandchildren, what will happen. That means you have not understood this shloka. So, knowing means immediately living accordingly. If you are not living accordingly, you do not know. You have been informed. That's all. You've been informed. Okay. But that information has to be converted into wisdom. So, therefore, he says, he who knows this to be indestructible, eternal, unborn, immutable, you can add all the other things what he said till now. That man, that person, that human being, thereafter, O Arjuna, cannot assume doership. he will not slay anyone. Will not slay anyone means not the act. I am slaying, I will kill, I will bring, I will do this, I am doing this, I will do it through that person. Therefore, he says, or cause anyone to be slain indirectly. Simply does what ought to be done in the context and moves on. That's what will happen to that person. There will be no involvement. Very beautifully, Sri Krishna says here that there will be no motive to that person's action. Why is he saying this? Because Arjuna has a motive, and that is what was restricting him. So now he's teaching this knowledge so that the motive can be removed. Then Arjuna can function freely. So that's all he's saying here. So the bodies of the person, the subtle, causal, gross bodies, they are the ones which go through all these modifications. And through that only all the actions are performed when the Atma enlivens it. But I don't do anything. I disassociate from it when I get this knowledge. Therefore, I don't get affected by the result either. If you identify with the body, mind, intellect which does the action, then when the results come, you will be affected also. But if you do not identify with it and the results come, you will not be affected. So no doership, no enjoyership. Neither direct nor indirect. That's all he says. Next shloka, again, interesting and important shloka, which talks about this transmigration. Punarapi janam, punarapi maranam. Birth, death, the cycle of birth and death, and it explains that. Very often quoted shloka, this verse 22.
Vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya navani grinhati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyati navani dehi.
Just as a man casting off worn out garments puts on new ones, so the embodied casting off worn out bodies enters new ones. So he is comparing our bodies to the garments. He says vasamsi, garments. Jirnani means worn out garments. So just as a person casting off the worn out garments puts on new ones, so the embodied casting off worn out bodies enters the new ones. See, very, very interesting words. They are very powerful. See, in Tamil, they refer to the body as outer. In some context, when they talk, they say, like for example, I'll go have bath and come. We say that, no? I'm just going to have shower and come. So he says in Tamil, male poothitvar means I'll just pour some water on the outer layer. The very way they put it brings the detachment. I am not the body. I am different. So I'm just going to pour some water on the body and come. So like that he says, just as a man casting off worn out garments. First of all, this body is a garment. Garment is what you wear. You are the wearer. You are not the own garment, isn't it? You're not that which you wear. You are the one who wears. Right? So therefore, you're the wearer. So therefore, he says, first of all, you understand this. You are not this garment. And secondly, this garment has worn out, he says. When the garment wears out, what will you do? You go to office, 8 hours you work, you come back, you find this clothes not conducive for you to continue wearing it anymore. So you throw it, you shower, you come and change your clothes. Right? So the clothes are worn out, you throw it for washing, then you wear the new one. Similarly, he says, this body will go through all the modifications. This is everything as per karma. As per each individual's karma, everything will happen. So he says, just as a man casting off worn out garments and puts on new ones, this embodied Dehi, casting off the worn out bodies, worn out garments, puts on the new one, enters new one. Now, previously in one of the shlokas, I mentioned to you in Swamiji's translation, the word embodied was with capital E, and we said it refers to Atman. Here, if you see in Swamiji's translation, the word embodied is in small e. So here, the word embodied is not talking about Atman, it is talking about the combination. Who is the one who throws out and wears the new one? A combination, isn't it? The combination is the one decides. The subtle body, the causal body, the thoughts and vasanas, the combination, decides if this gross body and gross environment is any more conducive to continue wearing it. If it's not conducive, it sees that it's not conducive anymore, throws it and moves out. You know, last 2 weeks, unfortunately, I could not have class on Sundays. Other classes I had. On Sunday, some work or the other came, so I could not have it online. So we had to cancel. Now today we were very well prepared. We will do this class. There was no appointment or anything for me, so I could conduct. Everything was perfectly done. Suddenly, around 9:30, 9:40, they disconnected power in this area. Something happened. So there was no power. I said, what happens? When we checked out, they said within 1 hour it will come. But it came within 10 minutes. Now, in my mind, I was thinking, what do I do? Should I cancel the class? Doesn't look nice. This fellow goes on cancelling classes. What kind of a teacher we have got? You understand? Not really, not bothered that way. But at the same time, there is responsibility. Just like that, we should not cancel. So I said, what do I do? Shall I leave my house in Chennai? I'm in Chennai right now. That's why we're doing it online. Then, shall I go somewhere else where there is power? If I go there, there is power there maybe, but lighting may not be enough. What do I do? All these thoughts started. In the sense, what I'm trying to say is, I was ready to move from this place to another place. Why? Because this is not conducive for me anymore. Isn't it? It was conducive, no problem till 9:30, 9:40. I was living here. Suddenly I said I should move. And luckily the power came, so I said, okay, it's conducive, I'll continue. So that is what he's trying to say. So the subtle body and the causal body together, the wearer, when the Atma reflects through them, becomes the embodied. That combination, when it finds this body or the environment to be unconducive for it to express the vasanas, what will it do? Obviously, it will move to another. Isn't it? Supposing you are living in a city where you cannot find job for the qualifications that you have. What will you do? You will have to move to another place. So that is what he's trying to say. So when the body wears out, meaning it's not conducive anymore for the desires, thoughts to be expressed through it, then the body is given up. Now, who decides whether it is worn out or not? You decide, no? Because this question comes, sir, some people die at the age of 2 itself. Some people die 20, 30s. Some people die 80, 90. Because we understand worn out means above 80, 90. And we accept. But what about this 3-year-old child and all die? How will you say worn out? Worn out is decided by the wearer, not you and me. For example, when we say 80 years, 90 years, we are taking the time as a factor to calculate that and say, oh, it's worn out after so many years. It's not like that. For that, I'm giving you this example. You go to the office, you are going in the AC car, your house is also air conditioned, your car is air conditioned, your office is air conditioned. So you are wearing a particular set of clothes from morning 9 o'clock, you go to the office at 10, then you come back home by 7 or so. Till the time you're wearing the same pant and shirt, no problem. Then you come back and then you go to your tennis court in your club, wearing a t-shirt and short shoes and going to play tennis. You play tennis for about 45 minutes, not even an hour. You come back and within 1 hour, 45 minutes, you find that the clothes is soiled and the clothes are soiled, it's not conducive to wear it anymore. One set of clothes you wore for almost 10 hours, no problem. Huh? Another set of clothes within 45 minutes, you said it's worn out. Who decided? You decided. Na? So it is decided by you, your karmas, your subtle body, not somebody else. So that's what he's saying. Just as a man casting off worn out garments puts on the new ones, similarly, the embodied individual throws away the body and takes up the new body, conducive new body in time. That's how life should be. That's how life is, he says. So the embodied casting of worn out bodies enters the new one. There is no problem. So from the embodied small e point of view, no problem. Because you give up the old body and you take up the new body. Similarly, you come to the Atma, there is no problem of going from one body to another. So Atma is always existing. From the Atma point of view also, there is nothing to grieve. Because the whole thing started with Arjuna's grieving. Arjuna's grieving means all of us grieving. All of us going through stress and strain in life. So he's educating us. So he said there is nothing to grieve. Wise people do not grieve. Why they do not grieve? Because they have the knowledge of the Atma, therefore they don't grieve. So he says, from the limited point of view also, what happens? You give up this environment, you take up another environment. Now after 12 o'clock, when we complete this class, now you will have another set of vasanas. It requires another environment. Maybe you want to do some dance class or yoga. I don't know what is that you're signed up for. So you will log out of this, you will log into that room. Because that is what you want to get in now. So when you, in this particular body, go on entertaining new thoughts, whatever it could be, Buzzing, you are in Delhi and you say, I hate Delhi, I love this country, I love that place, I love all that time going on talking like that, then you will create vasanas which will demand a change. You understand? Which will create a demand for change. Then you will give up this body, you will take up the new one. You will suddenly think, how did this happen? It's not happening like magic. That's why every thought matters. We are just going through thoughts casually. We don't really focus on our thoughts. We are more concerned about what others think about us. It really doesn't matter what others think about us. But most of the time we are preoccupied about what that fellow is thinking about me, what this fellow is thinking about me, is all we are thinking. But actually, we should be thinking about what our thoughts are now. What kind of thoughts am I entertaining all the time? All the time I'm entertaining certain thoughts. I don't have enough, I don't have enough, I don't have enough. You're going on thinking like that all the time. And that's why you will never have enough. Because your thoughts are like that. You're emphasizing those things. So that's what he's trying to educate us here. Just as a man, a person, casting off the garments. This embodied also throws that garment. So when you understand this, it will not affect you. If you don't understand all this, it will affect you. All of us, please understand, from the limited perception angle, everything is in a passing, fleeting, changing fact, changing aspect. Everything is a changing aspect. From the absolute Atma, it is changes. So this will change. How this change happens, I explained. So for that subtle body and causal body, that gross body is one out. So therefore, the body is given up. And the new body is taken up. Is it a good thing for that person or not? For that person, it is good, no? Yes. For example, 9:40, 9:50 or so, the power came back. Supposing the power didn't come till about 10 o'clock or so, I would have left and have tried to go to some other place to see if I can manage to conduct this class. So it's good for us now to leave and go, not to be stuck there. So the problem in life is without this knowledge, we are attached. This is the problem. And that's why we suffer. So he says, there is no such thing as grief in a wise person's life, because it is completely removed by the knowledge of life and living. So we've discussed about death before. What is death according to Vedanta? Death is transference of subtle body along with causal body from one gross body to another in the medium of pure consciousness. Pure consciousness is all pervading. It's everywhere. So in that medium of pure consciousness, the subtle body and the causal body transfers from one gross body to another gross body. This is called death. Giving up the old condition, taking up the new condition according to one's own karma. According to one's own subtle body, causal body, actions, karma, etc. So therefore, there is nothing to grieve. That is what he wants to say. So in fact, you are the one throwing out the body. But what we say, person above has written like this, and therefore it is, nothing is written by anybody, anywhere. Your own thoughts determine the course of your life. Your own thoughts, I repeat, your own thoughts determine the course of your life. Therefore, it is extremely important to take stock of what thoughts you are entertaining all the time. You don't care about it. You just go on entertain all kinds of thoughts. And it's not just one thought, it's the resultant. We studied this in science, no? You place an object at point O and you give 50 Newton force in X direction, 50 Newton force in Y direction. The force being same in X and Y direction, the object will move in Z direction. There is no force in the Z direction. Yet it will move. Why? Because of the resultant. Because sometimes the question comes, sir, I never wanted to be here, but somehow I'm here. How is this? It's a mixture. It's a mixture. Good. That's why if you consciously can direct your life in one thought, you will get that. If it's a mixture, you get the mixture. The result also will be mixture accordingly. That's why he says, it's not just one thought. To explain, it's easier if you just give one thought and explain. But we are entertaining, I don't know what all kind of thoughts. The sum total of all our thoughts, when they find this body no more conducive to express themselves, they give up this body and take up the new one. It can be at the age of 3, it can be at the age of 10, it can be at the age of 80, doesn't matter. We develop all kinds of thoughts, and that determines the direction, and that determines the death. And death is not a full stop, it's only a comma. Full stop is death of ego. You can say so. Death of ego is full stop. Because uske baad there is nothing else. But death of the body is not a full stop. It's only a comma. You understand? So there is nothing that is going to affect us. So if, like this law of resultant force that we discussed, if we discuss 50 Newton force in X and Y, both equal force. Supposing 1000 Newton force in X and 2 Newton force in Y, where will the object move? Very, very close to X or almost on X. Why? Because there is no more force on X, isn't it? Similarly, you have too many thoughts, some more strong and powerful, some little weak, some mediocre, all that mixed, put together, and continuously if you do, then the resultant of your life's direction will be accordingly influenced. So who is influencing your life? You are influencing by your own thoughts. That's why we say in Vedanta, thy destiny in thy hands. Thy hands means not in your palms. Your destiny in your hands, your own thinking, your own activities, the way you function, what are your thoughts? That changes the course. The thoughts change, the body change, the environment change, everything changes. The color of the clothes change. Color of your vehicles, everything changes. And your thoughts change. So therefore he says, this is something that will get worn out. And when it gets worn out, it has to be thrown out. And therefore the system is such that it will throw it out and will take the new one. What determines all this? Your thoughts. You are determining, nobody else. Nobody else sitting up the clouds determining all this. That's why we in Vedanta say, you are punished or rewarded by your actions, not for your actions. Your own actions, your own thoughts. Actions means thoughts also there. So by your own thoughts, you're punished or rewarded accordingly. But we believe that there is somebody outside. We always believe like that. No? The control is somewhere else. They have to control. It's not like that. It is actually with us. We can take it up. In fact, so when you begin to understand Vedanta more and more, you will start becoming more and more responsible in life. But unfortunately, what people say is you learn Vedanta, you'll become irresponsible. It is not because you learned Vedanta, because you did not understand it. Or you conveniently interpret it. Maybe you're conveniently interpreting it, that's why you do that, some people. No? Otherwise, no, it's not possible. When you begin to understand this, then you will stop all these unnecessary worries as to who is thinking about you, as how they are thinking, what they are thinking. You don't care all that. You say, forget about all that. What are my thoughts? What am I thinking all the time? Am I having negative thoughts all the time, or what is this? And then, you see, the thing is, when you keep on thinking like this for a long period of time, then the effect happens. When the effect happens, what do I do? What did I do to deserve this? You are not able to connect the cause and effect correctly. So you say, what did I do to deserve this? What did you do to deserve this means what? Somebody up the clouds is having some ill feelings about you and they want to give some negative things to you. Nothing like that. You may want to think like that, but nothing like that happens. It's your own thoughts That's why Vedanta wants to make you understand all these things so that you can take control of your life. You can become the CEO of your life. You may be CEO of many organizations, but you have to be CEO of your own life. That will happen only when you gain knowledge of your true self. Till then, it's not possible. That's why he says, you should know, again and again, he says. Once you understand that, then nothing will affect you. Let's conclude the class now, and after that, we'll take up Q&A session. Oh. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.